leave your seat. Please stand for the academic procession.
afternoon. I call upon the college chaplain, Father Michael Wall, to read the conferring blessing.
Schlucht as litter Dave Paul kigna hefishig. Shinny and fo a dhemer magluine, I vinisha an ahar on an meter gach clown nav agus talav. Godugus div as alva hasad lora, go vaig shiv nart agus commas in venach, trin spurd. Go meg Christ vo gree 3 crediv, agus go meg shiv prevaha agus bunnaha sagro. Lí go bhéidig sé féin agus an níomh go léir, ad agus lehead, an irda agus dainas a hiiscint. Go gurigh sibh ólas grá Christ atá is chun tuiscinne, agus go líon for sibh den líonbhreacht umláin dé. Glór den taobh a féadadó I bhd níos mó dhéanamh ná mar díorformisne nó smínig féin Tríd an cócht atá ag obair uning. Glór go raibh ag an aglis agus I Grist, Isa, ó lún, go brach na brethe. Amen.
I am pleased to call on the President of the University of Limerick, Professor Kirsten May, to formally convene a meeting of the University for the purpose of conferring academic awards.
President, Mary Immaculate College, members of the Mary Immaculate College Governing Authority and trustees, members of Ancala Acadul, faculty members, distinguished guests, families, friends, graduates of the class of 2022. A meeting of the university is hereby convened for the purpose of conferring academic awards. Exercising the power granted to the University of Limerick by Oireachtas Éireann, I hereby confer awards of the university on the graduates of the Faculty of Education. Students not present are hereby conferred in absentia.
I am pleased to call on the chairperson of the Governing Authority of Mary Immaculate College, Bishop Brendan Leahy, to make an address of welcome.
So, Mayor, President of the University of Limerick, Professor Kirsten May, trustees of the college, members of An Tuaidh Rialaithe, college staff and students, distinguished guests, parents, family and friends, and the graduates, of course, above all, of the classes of 2022. It's my very great honour as chairman of An Tuaidh Rialaithe of this college to welcome you here to the conferring ceremony. Tá an áthas ó chrí orm 100,000 fáilte a chu ribh ile. Is speisialta ná cádí seo. Go háirithe dómh siúd go léir atá ag buint gradam inniuh. Dinam cóghárda Steve go léir. In congratulating you, the graduating class of 2022, I greet naturally your families and relations, many of them linked virtually to us, some may be linked in the hall here virtually, and then others through streaming. You're very much with us and you're very welcome to be with us here today. And we know all of your relations, friends, as all of us are, rightly proud of you today. I also greet others who are joining us in various ways in our ceremonies, the academic staff who've generously accompanied you to this day, many of them here today, and I'm very grateful to them for their hard work and professional research as well as the professional services staff who really work all the time here so well and carefully. Those in the student support services, student union representatives, those involved in the chaplaincy services and other college services who have worked with great dedication for you. And I want obviously to express my gratitude to Professor Eugene Wall, the college president, for his wise leadership during this past year and previous years. And I'm very much mindful of our debt of gratitude to those who are part of the extended family, for want of a better word, the University of Limerick, under whose auspices we're here today, and we've already greeted Professor May. I'm grateful to the HEA, the Department of Education, Today I also greet Mr. George O'Callaghan from the Limerick and Clare Education Board. He's the CEO. With all of these links, we're very grateful, and I want to express my welcome to them. So it's graduation day, it's a big day, it's the day the Lord has made. So it is a day to recognize with gratitude the effort you have made, and of course around you, your families, with you and friends. And not least because you unexpectedly had to adapt and change due to the COVID pandemic that arrived in on top of us all, and you couldn't have foreseen as you started out, and that you've managed to really adapt so well that in these years you have shown great aptitudes also in terms of resilience, adaptability and patience. So I salute you for that. It is a day to remember those virtues in your life. The philosopher Kierkegaard says, we understand life looking backwards, we understand it, but we must always live it moving forward. Certainly today is a day for you now as you get ready to come up here and get your parchment. You just think back for a moment. What have been the highlights of these past few years? What have I understood a little bit more about myself during these past few years? What's grown within me for these past few years? And then, yes, of course, in being grateful for that, you recognize it's a day to look forward, your lives ahead of you. So as you graduate today, I would like to invite you simply for a moment to lift up your gaze and just look at the wider context in which you're graduating. The world is going through a dramatic situation. The war in Ukraine has brought back war onto our continent that saw 2 world wars, which we thought were gone now. There are many other wars raging: Syria, Yemen, Afghanistan, African Republic, so many places. So much so that Pope Francis says often that we are living a 3rd World War piecemeal. Sometimes we underestimate that. And with it also culturally, in many different respects, there's an escalation of sentiments of hostility, of violence, of hatred, of negativity. Pope Francis says, every war leaves our world worse than it was before. War is a failure of politics and of humanity, a shameful capitulation, a stinging defeat before the forces of evil. And alongside the wars, of course, as you know only too well, there's a lot of social anxiety about our environment, the environmental issues, the social economic pressures that people are under today. That's creating an atmosphere of anxiety. There's even talk of atomic weapons. That's something we haven't heard of for decades, but it's back again. So these are the moments, the context in which you are coming out as graduates, and we all have to recognize we cannot be neutral or indifferent to what is going on in our world. In his project for a global compact on education, Pope Francis invites every one of us to rediscover what education is about in its deepest purpose. That is to create a new world, a better world, a more fraternal world, a world that puts the human person at the center. So you're graduating today from this Catholic college, rooted in the Mercy tradition. I'm just delighted to see Sister Bulger here with us, a former president of this college, a Sister of Mercy. And you're graduating from this college, I hope, with these values enshrined in this global compact of education, and indeed the goals, the education goals of the United Nations 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. You're part of a big project. There are some 216,000 Catholic schools in the world, attended by over 60 million pupils. There's some 1,750 Catholic universities with over 11 million students in the world. Together, we can make a difference. Together with a global compact, we can shape things a new way. So I invite you today, as you're now preparing to formally graduate, in your own inner self, to make a commitment. I'm going to use my talents, my gifts, my success, my research, my dreams, myself, to the cause of peace, reconciliation, and care of the environment, our common home. We can't resign ourselves to war. We can't let others grow resigned to war. We all need to be sowing seeds of peace and reconciliation. The world is waiting for your unique contribution, each one a tile in a mosaic, uniquely important. Don't disappoint this world. You've shown great resilience here. You've achieved very much. So now go forth and make a difference in the future, your future lives. The world is in your hands. Once again, congratulations to each of you graduating. Bear bua agus benacht. Gurmagov.
I call upon the Assistant Dean of the Faculty of Education, Dr. Angela Canny, to present the candidates for the conferring of undergraduate and postgraduate awards in education.
President, the Academic Council of the University has been satisfied that the following candidates are worthy to be conferred with undergraduate and postgraduate awards. Therefore, I present the candidates and request you to confer the awards on them.
So we begin this afternoon with the Bachelor of Education programme, and our first graduate receiving an award is Laura Brazel. Mary Keane. Ciara McCarthy. Jane McGillicuddy. Rachel McGillicuddy. Rachel McGlone. Niamh McKeown. Edmund McMahon. Laura McNamara. Orla McNulty. Roisin McNulty. Maeve McSweeney. Emer Maher. Sean Meehan. Kaya Mellett. Shane Mellett. Coach Minahan. Rachel Minogue. Tara Mockler. Anya Maloney. Rachel Maloney. Gillian Moran. Shauna Moriarty. Aoife Maroney. Zoe Morrissey. Barry Motherway. Shauna Moylan. Breed Mulcahy. Claire Mullins. Conor Mulqueen. Aisling Murphy. Sienna Murphy. Claire Murphy. Clodagh Murphy. Daniela Murphy. Eva Murphy. Grace Murphy. Jane Murphy. Shiva Murphy. Kira Murphy Wright. Grace Murray. Amy Nestor Byrne. Emma New. Dara Nikhaila. Emer Nikhaila. Muran Nikahan. Adi Ní Nachten. Lydia Ní Hay. Niamh Nic Oscar. Sarah Nix. Ciara Nolan. Kaylee Nolan Roach. Garود O'Conneilla. Owen Omar Hartig. Katrina O'Brien. Kiva O'Brien. Roisin O'Brien. Donal O'Callaghan. Maeve O'Callaghan. Murren O'Connell. Adrian O'Connor. Ava O'Connor. David Bill O'Connor. Well done. David Michael O'Connor. Jade O'Connor. Jamie O'Connor. Kate O'Connor. Mary O'Connor. Molly O'Connor. Emer O'Doherty. Margaret O'Donnell. Rachel O'Donnell. Sinead O'Donnell. Maeve O'Donovan. Rebecca O'Donovan. Roisin O'Donovan. Grace O'Driscoll. Roisin O'Driscoll. Garud O'Dwyer. Mary O'Dwyer. Dara O'Gorman. Emer O'Gorman. Jimmy O'Grady. Christopher O'Hagan. Orla O'Hanlon. Maeve O'Hara. Colm O'Leary. Laura O'Leary. Rachel O'Mahony. Sally O'Mahony. Ciara O'Malley. Kevin O'Mara. Maeve O'Mara. Elizabeth O'Neill. Rachel O'Neill. Sophie O'Regan. Colin O'Reilly. Sean O'Reilly. Emer O'Riordan. Niamh O'Riordan. Orla O'Riordan. Andrew Ormond. Laura O'Shea. Marie O'Shea. Amy O'Sullivan. Grace O'Sullivan. Jamie O'Sullivan. Kim O'Sullivan. Melva O'Sullivan. Sinead O'Sullivan. Thomas Palmer. Lara Power. Connor Purcell. Jade Purcell. Sarah Jane Purcell. Lara Quinn. Emma Quirk. Niamh Regan. Eilish Reedy. Claire Riley. Emer Riley. Katie Ring. Clodagh Rogers. Joanna Ross. Killian Ruin. Ciara Bridget Ryan. Claire Ryan. Dervla Ryan. Jack Ryan. Maeve Ryan. Oisin Ryan. Shane Ryan. Kelly Ryan Hoffler. Mark Ryan Purcell. Aisling Ryle. Sinead Scallon. Shane Scollin. Grania Sexton. Jack Shakeshaft. Mark Patrick Shanahan. Aoife Shannon. Niamh Shannon. Avon Sheehan. Ciara Sheehan. Laura Sheehan. Robin Sheehan. Aoife Sheehy. Yvonne Shelton. Ciara Shine. Erica Shorten. Erin Slattery. Emma Smith. Kate Stack. Laura Stafford. Ciara Stanley. Mark Stokes. Cormac Suffin. Susie Talty. Chloe Tangney. Shane Tarrant. Caoimhe Tehan. Killian Timmins. Caroline Tobin. Shauna Tracy. Laura Van Ryswick. Eileen Veal. Julie Verling. Rowan Wagner. Hannah Wade. Ava Wallace. Sarah Wallace. Ava Walsh. Tierna Walsh Collick. Cathal Walsh O'Grady. Sinead Ward. Kate Wardick. Mella Weber. Rachel Wheeler. Aoife White. Eilish Whitney. And last but not least, Laura Wolfe. Round of applause for all our Bachelor of Education graduates today. Cogordacha Silica Lair. Right, so our next programme this afternoon is the Bachelor of Education in Education and Psychology. And our first graduate receiving a parchment this afternoon is Sophie Ambrose. Rena Behan. Mairead Brosnan. Caoimhe Byrne. Killian Crowe. Ciara Crowley. Liadon Cullen Fennell. Karen Curtin. Jake Doyle. Adam Ennis. Slánid Fenton. Sean Finlay. Amy Greeley. Orla Keating. Clodagh Kelly. John Lillis. Sean Lineen. Karen Luby. Maeve McCarthy. Breed McCormack. Niamh McNamara. Avril McSweeney. Ava Niarkar. Sarah O'Donnell. Anya O'Farrell. Ava O'Gorman. Claire Reister. Dervla Rowe. Connor Sullivan. Nessa Toomey. Rachel Uleman. Padraig Waldron. Anna Walsh. Orla Bridget Walsh. Rachel Welton. And finally, Olive Wickstead. A round of applause. Bachelor of Education in Education and Psychology. Congratulations to the class of 2022. We now have the great pleasure of moving to our programmes, which are delivered out of our MIC Thurles campus. So we're delighted to welcome these graduates here today, and we're beginning with the Bachelor of Arts in Education, Business Studies and Accounting. And the first graduate receiving his award this afternoon is Brian Brosnan. Grace Byrne. Amy Coveney. Aaron Cronin. Callum Dunn. Lauren Fahy. Nikita Good. Kate Houlihan. Hannah Keeley. Sarah Keddy. Aoife Madigan. Niamh McElhenney. Emer McNally. Jade Moyles. Roisin Murphy. Rory O'Connell. Niall O'Dwyer. Jake Tobin. Amy Toohey. Lucille Walsh. Katharina White. And finally on this programme, Zara White. We move now to the Bachelor of Arts in Education, Business Studies and Religious Studies, and the first graduate receiving his award this afternoon is Conor Broderick. Lauren Burke. Bevan Byrne. Edwina Clear. Jack Doyle. James Griffin. Emma Hanlon. Amy Hanrahan. And finally, Jade McMahon. Our next MIC Thurles programme is the Bachelor of Arts in Education, Gaeilge and Business Studies, and the first graduate receiving her award this afternoon is Evan Carty. Saoirse Culhane. Conor Curtin. Emer Daly. Rebecca Doran. Daniel Downs. Ciara Dwan. Ciara Foskin. Ellen Frayne. Andrew Gleeson. Peter Gormley. Brian Carney. Derval Kelly. Claire Kenny. Eva Leonard. Anna Menace. Luke Moran. Brenda Murphy. Laura Murphy. Mary Murphy. Thomas Murphy. Fiona Nelligan. Anna Nugent. Niall O'Brien. Niamh O'Brien. Clodagh O'Callaghan. Cian O'Connell. Anya O'Loughlin. Mary O'Riordan. Jennifer Quirk. Laura Redmond. Cormac Rigney. Rachel Sinnott. Emer Thine. Michael Toher Clancy. And finally on this programme, Alana Whelan. We move on to the Bachelor of Education in Education, Gaeilge and Religious Studies, and the first graduate receiving her award this afternoon is Fiona Bailey. Jessica Brennan. Chelsea Collins. Nathan Kelly. And Maggie Mulcair. We move now to a very special programme here at MIC. It's the Graduate Certificate in Academic Practice. Some of the graduates receiving their awards today are colleagues of ours, so I suspect you'll hear lots of warm cheers this afternoon. So the first graduate receiving an award for the Graduate Certificate in Academic Practice is Niamh Gertrude Kitching. Congratulations, Niamh. Mary Patricia Maloney. Anne-Marie Moran. Congratulations. Roisin Nigarvi. Adam Alexander Royal. And Mark Donica Scully. Our next programme is the Graduate Certificate in Middle Leadership and Mentoring in Primary and Post-Primary Settings, and our first graduate receiving her award this afternoon is Sarah Kennedy. Mary O'Reilly. Florence Firry. Emily? Okay. Our next programme is the Graduate Diploma in Adult and Further Education, and our first graduate receiving her award this afternoon is Danielle Cashman. Lisa Clerkin. No. Margaret Cosgrove. Aoife Coughlin. Michaela Cross. Mairead Darcy. Martha Flynn O'Neill. Patricia Horan. Grace Keane Loughran. Laura Kerwin. Jessica Morrissey. Jennifer Nash. Brendan O'Brien. Michael O'Brien. Una O'Brien. Hayley O'Doherty. Michelle O'Malley. Ned O'Mara. And Sarah Tuberty. Our next programme is the Master of Education in Adult and Further Education, and the first graduate receiving her award this afternoon is Lorraine Diggins. And Aoife Sheehan. The Graduate Diploma in Educational Leadership and Management, and the first graduate this afternoon is Owen Hurley. And Ryan Quirk. The Master of Arts in STEM Education, that's Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematics, and the graduate this afternoon is Lauren Ryan. We now move on to our Master of Education programme, and the first graduate receiving her award this afternoon is Maeve Byrne. Katie Corbett. Lisa Gaffney. Kate Gallagher. Aoife Geraghty. Rachel Kelly. Elaine McCarthy. Donal McNamara. Cristiano Munguambe. Karen O'Callaghan. Susan Redden. And our next programme is the Master of Education in Educational Leadership and Management, and the first graduate receiving her award this afternoon is Laura Liddy. Bridget O'Callaghan. And Tracy O'Driscoll. Our next programme is the Master of Education in Literacy Education, and the first graduate receiving her award this afternoon is Andrea Brosnan. Emma Byrne. Erin Byrne. Alexandra Molyneux. Emma Sunderland. And Darren Winston. Now, our next programme is the Master of Education in Mentoring and Leadership in Schools International. We have two graduates who are being conferred, they're being conferred in absentia, but they're watching the ceremony from Brazil, and they're very sorry they can't be here today, so I'm actually going to call their names. So, Rubem Cardarso. And Gracial Rosa da Costa Soares. Congratulations to you both, Ruben and Gracial. Our next programme is the Master of Education in Middle Leadership and Mentoring in Primary and Post-Primary Settings. And the first graduate receiving her award this afternoon is Jessica Barry. Katie Campbell. Sinead Crone. Padraig de Bruin. Katie Kennedy. Deirdre McKenna. Nessa McLaughlin. Eva O'Brien. And Teresa O'Gorman. Big round of applause for all our postgrads. Dr. Angela Canny, Assistant Dean of the Faculty of Education, will now present the candidates for the doctoral degrees by research and thesis.
President, the Academic Council of the University has been satisfied that the following candidates are worthy to be conferred with doctoral degrees by research and thesis in education. Therefore, I present the candidates and request you to confer the awards on them.
So the doctoral candidates will be presented with their caps by their supervisors, and the doctoral candidates will then be presented with their parchments by the President of the University of Limerick, Professor Kirsten May. So, Dr. Ruth Burke has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the joint supervision of Dr. Sandra Ryan and Dr. Margaret Nohaly, MIC. The title of the thesis is How Do School Networks Operate to Support Deaf Schools? A case study analysis of 2 Transforming Education Through Dialogue, TED, projects, facilitated school networks. Dr. Burke will now be presented with her cap by Dr. Sandra Ryan. Well done. Dr. Aoife Chalk has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the supervision of Dr. Gwen Moore, MIC. The title of the thesis is An Exploration of the Impact of Formal and Non-Formal Teaching and Learning Approaches on Piano Students' Musical Knowledge, Skills, Engagement and Motivation, a Longitudinal Action Research Study. Dr. Chalk will now be presented with her cap by Dr. Gwen Moore. Well done. Dr. Ciara Concannon is on crutches today, but she's still here. She has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the supervision of Dr. Margaret Egan, MIC. The title of the thesis is An Investigation into Collaborative Practices between the Class Teacher, Special Education Teacher and Speech and Language Therapist to identify and meet the needs of students with speech, language and communication difficulties in primary schools in Ireland. The doctoral candidate will now be presented with her cap by Dr. Margaret Egan. Take your time, Ciara. It's a big moment. Don't forget to take your parchment. Well done. Dr. Padraig Fahy has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the joint supervision of Dr. TJ O'Callagh, UCC, and Dr. Siobhan Varahu, MIC. The title of the thesis is Using CLIL to Support Teacher Language Awareness in the Irish Language in English Medium Primary Schools, an analysis of the impact on second language teaching and learning competency. Dr. Fahy will now be presented with his cap by Dr. Siobhan Varahu. Smile for the camera, and then you're done. Lovely. Well done. Dr. Edmund Gubbins has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the supervision of Dr. Gwen Moore, MIC. The title of the thesis is Musical Futures as Critical Pedagogy, Participatory Case Study Research with Generalist Primary School Teachers in the Republic of Ireland. The doctoral candidate will now be presented with his cap by Dr. Gwen Moore. Dr. Irene Hogan has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the joint supervision of Dr. Richard Bowles and Dr. Niamh Kitching, MIC. The title of the thesis is Take a Chance, Give a Chance and Give a Real Chance. Experiences and Perspectives of Volunteer Women Coaches in Ladies Gaelic Football. The doctoral candidate will now be presented with her cap by Dr. Richard Bowles. Well done. Dr. Andrew Jordan has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the supervision of Dr. Alva Kenny, MIC, and the title of the thesis is Exploring a Community of Musical Practice, a Case Study of Music Generation, Limerick City. Dr. Jordan will now be presented with his cap by Dr. Alva Kenny. Dr. Marie-Claire Murphy has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the supervision of Professor Emer Ring, Dr. Kathleen Horgan and Dr. Leisha O'Sullivan, MIC. The title of the thesis is Sowing the Seed, a bioecological exploratory case study of the forest school approach to learning and teaching in the Irish primary school curriculum. Dr. Murphy will now be presented with her cap by Dr. Leisha O'Sullivan. Well done. Dr. Sharon Scahill has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the supervision of Professor Emer Ring, Dr. Leisha O'Sullivan and Dr. Kathleen Horgan, MIC. The title of the thesis is The Quiddity of Inclusion, an interpretive phenomenological study of early childhood teacher experiences of the link that's Leadership for Inclusion in the Early Years programme on perceptions and practice of inclusion. The doctoral candidate will now be presented with her cap by Dr. Leisha O'Sullivan. Congratulations and well done. We now come to a really special programme here at MIC. It's the Certificate in General Learning and Personal Development, and I'd like to welcome Mr. George O'Callaghan, CEO of Limerick and Clare Education and Training Board, who will present the following QQI recognised award in the Certificate in General Learning and Personal Development. And our first graduate this afternoon is Brendan Barrett. Congratulations, Brendan. Our next candidate who will receive her award is Pamela Collins. Congratulations, Pamela. Cogordicus. Our next graduate receiving her award this afternoon is Fiona Colton. Our next graduate on this programme is Andy Coyne. Well done, Andy. Our next graduate receiving his award is John Curtin. Well done, John. Up you come. Come on. Our next graduate receiving his award this afternoon is Luke Frawley. Well done, Luke. Our next graduate receiving her award this afternoon is Maria Hassett. Well done, Maria. Up you come. Our next graduate receiving her award is Ciara O'Loughlin. Well done, Ciara. And our final graduate receiving her award in the Certificate in General Learning and Personal Development this afternoon is Katie Quinn. Well done, Katie. And congratulations to all the graduates on that programme this afternoon. I now have the great pleasure in introducing our special awards, and we're going to start this afternoon with the College Gold Medal on the Bachelor of Education in Education and Psychology programme. The Gold Medal is awarded to the graduate who achieved first place on the Bachelor of Education and Psychology programme. The President of MIC will present this medal, and the recipient this year is Dervla Rowe. Well done, Dervla. The College Gold Medal on the Bachelor of Arts in Education programmes in post-primary teacher education. This medal is awarded to the graduate who achieved first place across the Bachelor of Arts in Education programmes. I call on the President of MIC to present this medal. The recipient this year is Mary O'Riordan on the Bachelor of Arts in Education, Gaeilge and Business Studies programme. Well done. Our next award this afternoon is the Douche Carlisle August Blake. I would like to welcome Dr. Trassa Kirk, Assistant Chief Inspector of the Department of Education and Skills, to present this prize. It's presented to the graduate with the highest cumulative QPV in the Bachelor of Education and Bachelor of Education in Education and Psychology programmes. This is calculated on the student's performance in core education modules. The recipient this year is Mairead Brosnan, who's on the Bachelor of Education in Education and Psychology programme. Our next award this afternoon is the Bonvir Foster Award. This is presented by the Irish National Teachers Organisation to the graduate who is awarded first place in curriculum education modules. There are separate awards for the Bachelor of Education and the Bachelor of Education in Psychology programmes, so we'll have 2 awardees this afternoon. I would like to call on Mr. John Driscoll, President of the INTO, to present these medals. We're very welcome, John, this afternoon. And the recipient of the award for the Bachelor of Education programme is Niamh McKeown. And the recipient of the award on the Bachelor of Education in Education and Psychology programmes is Mairead Brosnan. Our next award is the St. Bonaventure Trust Prize. This diocesan prize is presented to the graduate who is awarded first place in Theology and Religious Studies on the Bachelor of Arts in Education programmes. Bishop Brendan Leahy will now present the prize, and the recipient this year is Bavin Byrne, who is on the Bachelor of Arts in Education, Business Studies and Religious Studies programme. Our next award is the Kieran Burke Fellowship. This fellowship is awarded by the college in memory of the late Kieran Burke, lecturer in psychology from 1974 until 1994. It is presented to the graduate who achieved the highest cumulative QCA in the Educational Psychology and Dissertation modules on the Bachelor of Education in Education and Psychology programme. I call upon the Assistant Dean of the Faculty of Education, Dr. Angela Canny, to present this award, and the recipient this year is Dervla Rowe. Our next award is the Professor Michael A. Hayes Fellowship. This fellowship is awarded by the college in memory of the late Professor Michael A. Hayes, President of Mary Immaculate College from 2011 to 2017. Professor Hayes' family are unable to be in attendance today, but have provided a bouquet of flowers to be presented to the recipient of the fellowship along with their award. This award is presented to the graduate who achieved academic excellence in education, and that's education research and the dissertation on the Bachelor of Arts in Education programmes. I call on the President of MIC to present this award, and the recipient this year is Jade McMahon. Jade is on the Bachelor of Arts in Education, Business Studies and Religious Studies programme. Our next award is the ASTI Medal. This medal is awarded to the graduate who excels in education and school placement on the Bachelor of Arts in Education programmes. I call upon Ms. Geraldine O'Brien, Vice President of the ASTI, to present the award. Geraldine, you're very welcome today. The recipient this year is Mary O'Riordan. Mary is a student on the Bachelor of Arts in Education, Gaeilge and Business Studies programme. Our next award is the TUI Medal. This medal is awarded in memory of the late Bernie Ruane, former President of the Teachers Union of Ireland. The award recognises academic excellence in the education portfolio. I'd like to call upon Ms. Liz Farrell, President of the Teachers Union of Ireland, to present the award. Liz, again, you're very welcome here today. The recipient is Bavin Byrne. I think a big round of applause for all our award recipients. What a great achievement in hard times. I would now like to call upon Professor Kirsten May, President of the University of Limerick, to make her address.
Kåre Ille, Kate Miele Folche. Firstly, I would like to thank President Professor Eugene Wall and everyone at Mary Immaculate College for the very warm welcome here today. And I would like to extend my gratitude to Bishop Brendan Leahy. As President of University of Limerick, it gives me great pleasure to address you, the graduates of the class of 2022, the Mayor of Limerick City and County, Francis Foley, trustees, members of An Tudaras, Rilaha, members of An Cora, Akadul, and colleagues, and indeed all distinguished and invited guests on your graduation ceremony. Graduates, may I offer you the warmest of congratulations on completing this hugely important part of your learning journey. I'm sure you will agree that your journey through education has been exciting, challenging, and indeed not without a great deal of effort, commitment, and perseverance. However, today you are celebrating the fact that you have excelled academically, and all while we have faced some of the darkest and most challenging days in recent history. The tapestry of our society is facing more challenges day by day, and for many of us, those challenges have become the ever-present backdrop to normality in our lives. Succeeding in the face of the COVID-19 pandemic and its aftermath cannot be underestimated, as it shows tenacity, focus, and strength of character for each and every one of you to be graduating here today. Be proud of your accomplishments. I'm sure your family, your friends, your tutors, and your peers share in that pride. This occasion brings with it many reasons to celebrate and indeed to look to the future. But before we look to the future, we also look back at our history. And we remember how we started our institution as both pioneers and entrepreneurs and ended up as leaders. Our agility in responding to the challenges of our time and our academic award will allow you become the leaders, pioneers, and entrepreneurs that will drive social change for the better. Graduates, receiving your degree closes one chapter of your life by also opening the pages for new beginnings. At this time of new beginnings, we are asking ourselves many questions to sense and feel, to consider and conjure up our future. Circumstances of the most recent past have brought into sharp focus the many global challenges we now face. Climate change and planetary health, the war in Europe adding to the ongoing military conflicts worldwide and carrying the real potential of expanding into a global conflagration. Mass migration and significant challenges to human rights and social justice, while we continue to face extreme changes to energy, water, and food security, and experience the impact of severely disrupted supply chains. It is clear that we simply cannot be passive about our future, and thinking 5 to 10 years ahead is too short-sighted. We need viable long-term plans as well as concrete actions in the here and now that make a difference. Graduates, you have a chance to make a difference, and you are equipped to do so thanks to the knowledge, skills, and experience you have attained during your time at Mary Immaculate College. Technological and societal changes happen at an accelerated pace and have taken on disruptive and transformational qualities. Yet their outcomes and impacts are not defined yet, and neither is our future. Therefore, we all carry the responsibility to shape how we live and socialize, how we work and engage to ensure that the next generations can thrive and prosper too. And as the 30 months of the COVID-19 pandemic have demonstrated, we will be stronger and achieving more when we act together with humanity, compassion, and solidarity. My hope, and the hope of your institution, is that we continue to harness the power of talent, imagination, and partnerships to advance society where necessary, and through the many small steps that we take, literally change the world. Mary Immaculate College and University of Limerick continue to strive for excellence in research and education to address societal challenges regionally, nationally, and globally, and to shape a thrivable world. A thrivable world means a world that enables the future evolution of humankind and the respective stewardship for the planet, all life on Earth, and engagement for the common good. This future is still within our grasp, but only just. Therefore, to you, the graduates of today, the advice that I would like to give you for your future is that sustainability has to be the bedrock of any development and enterprise. As a guiding principle, sustainability has to direct everything we do. It is imperative that we take responsibility for sustainability very seriously. And graduates, I urge you to take that vision and responsibility and mirror it where possible in your lives. As students, both past and present, we have the power to contribute massively to our communities. Learners of all ages and stages need to focus on inquisitiveness and the imagination. We all have to develop an ability to live with ambiguity and to embrace complexity, to adapt and change. And above all, we have to learn and develop throughout our whole life. Graduates, for all of you here today, the achievement of graduating has been hard-earned through dedication and focus, and I'm sure some degree of self-sacrifice. You have been helped on your journey to this point by a network of supporters. Now, graduates, take a moment to thank your parents and guardians, your partners and family, your friends and supporters, as well as the members of Mary Immaculate College, lecturers, academic and technical support staff, administrators, all of whom are very proud of your accomplishment. To conclude, I will offer you this. Be cognizant of your own self-worth, your growth potential, and your ability to achieve. And crucially, determine what success means for you. Savor the short-term accomplishments, but be mindful of your long-term aspirations and fulfillment, professionally and personally. And all the while, think carefully about your priorities and what you can give to others and how you can influence the communities you live and work in. Indeed, it is heartwarming to see that the future is in safe hands when I look out into this gathering, and safe in the knowledge that when life does become uncertain, you will always find comfort and sustenance from the achievements that we mark in your graduation here today. Graduates, feel tall, be proud, savor and relish the achievements of today, and go into the world to make a change. Many congratulations and thank you very much. Kogorgilas Livkole Agos Gorov Mile Maragot.
I now call upon Professor Eugene Wall, President of Mary Immaculate College, to make his conferring address.
Faram Fair Queen Fáilte Roy Villig Goody Sharmanas Brunta on Leonu. I'd like to begin by extending a very warm welcome to a whole range of people as it happens. First of all, to Mayor, Councillor Francis Foley. You're very welcome back, Mayor. This is your second visit to the conferring, so we greatly appreciate your attendance here. To the President of the University of Limerick, Professor Kirsten May, Bishop Brendan Leahy, Mr. George O'Callaghan, who is the CEO of LCETB, members of An Tuathar Ros Rialacha, former President Sister Angela Bugler. Now, Bishop Leahy's already told you that Sister Angela is my predecessor and she was president here a number of years ago. What he didn't tell you, and what she's going to kill me for telling you, is that she's 89 today. Sister Angela, you should know better. You were never able to put manners on me anyway. I'd like also to extend a warm welcome to the President of MISU, the Students' Union, Aoife Gleeson, who joins us again. Distinguished guests, so I'll begin with Dr. Trassa Kirk, who's the Assistant Chief Inspector and who is back in these parts again. Trassa was a student here a number of years ago. I actually taught her, and we're delighted to welcome you in your new, well, it's not a new capacity, but in your capacity as Assistant Chief Inspector. And while I'm talking about people who are here, but I didn't have the pleasure of teaching, John O'Driscoll is also a former alumnus of MIC, and he comes back to us as president of the INTO. I'm delighted to welcome Liz Farrell, the president of the TUI, and also Geraldine O'Brien, who is the vice president of the ASTI. So welcome to you all, and I'm also pleased to welcome all our colleagues on the staff here and other distinguished guests. And I suppose most importantly, parents, family, friends and graduates of the class of 2022. So with those welcomes, I'll now turn to the other part of my speech. As many of you will know anyway, this year marks the 50th anniversary of the foundation of the University of Limerick. So I'd like to take this opportunity once again to congratulate Professor May and her colleagues on attaining this wonderful milestone. UL began life as NIHE, or the National Institute for Higher Education, Limerick, back in 19, it's putting years on you, back in 1972. That was the same year that I set out for college in UCD. Now, UCD was a very different place at that time with just over 10,000 students, less than 1/3 of its present numbers. The Belfield campus was less than 10 years old, and the iconic Arts, Commerce and Law building had opened just 2 years previously. The aura, for that it was, in the arts block, as it was then popularly known, was vaguely elitist, although not oppressively exclusive. A number of the lecturing staff, such as Dr. Garrett Fitzgerald, who later became Taoiseach, were eminent public figures, and an unnerving number of the students exuded an impression, quite rightly as it lately transpired, that they were destined for greater things in life. There was no sports facilities there at the time. Well, at least there was no sports centre. The dressing rooms under Belfield House were dingy and stark. So you can imagine my surprise one Saturday morning when myself and a couple of friends found ourselves sharing a dressing room with Eamon Coughlin, who at that stage was the holder of 3 world indoor mile records. He was known as the chairman of the boards. Until 1978, UCD boasted the only synthetic running track in the country. And as you made your way from the dressing rooms to the running track, you'd pass by the Rose Garden. The Rose Garden was converted into a memorial garden in 2015 after 3 UCD students died in Berkeley, California, when the balcony that they were standing on collapsed. One of the 4 benches in the inner circle is dedicated to the memory of these students. A second bench commemorates the life of Michael Byrne, better known as Old Man Belfield, and that's how he was fondly known by members of the campus community. Michael was a homeless man who lived, by choice it would appear, for the most parts outdoors in the grounds of the Belfield campus for more than 30 years, until his body was discovered there in a sleeping bag in January 2021. Dressed in multiple layers of clothing, with long white hair and a matching beard, he was a familiar and a distinctive figure. Although he was a reclusive person who rarely spoke, and there was hardly anybody who ever recalled speaking with him, or who rarely interacted with anyone, he was held in great affection by the staff and the students, and his lonely death prompted an outpouring of sadness. As a recent documentary on RTE Radio 1 discovered after a fruitless search, virtually nothing is known about his pre-Belfield life or identity, apart from the date of his birth. And the only reason they know that was because a local family weekly would collect his social welfare and give it to him. And that continued actually down the generations of that family. Stories abound about fleeting encounters with him as he roved about the campus and the locality. One particularly poignant and true account, as it happens, describes how he emerged from nowhere one night to protect a young woman from attack. And then, after accompanying her back to safety, he disappeared again into his solitary world. One of the other benches has an inscription on it from James Joyce's novel Finnegan's Wake. It goes, they lived and laughed and loved and left. The meaning of the sentence would seem to be entirely appropriate for the setting, and it's sometimes to be found in sympathy cards. However, if you browse through Joyce's inscrutable prose in the original, which I did for the purpose of preparing this talk, it doesn't exclude other speculative interpretations. And had it not been for the manner in which the COVID pandemic disrupted and curtailed your college experience, it just might have served as a poetic description of your time here. But such wasn't to be. When you first embarked on your studies, who could have suspected what lay ahead and how your college experience would be spoiled and undermined? Even as we entered the first lockdown in March 2020, little did we realise the seismic disruption that was about to unfold and the damaging impact that it would have on your college experience. Your accomplishment in graduating here today is all the more creditable because you achieved this under the most extraordinary conditions and in the face of much adversity. Through your adaptability, your resilience and your resourcefulness, you've achieved your goal of graduating with your degree. And all of us at MIC share your pride today, and I think that was very evident in the heart-warming rounds of applause throughout. As your alma mater, my colleagues and I extend our warmest congratulations to you, our graduation class of 2022, for arriving at this major milestone in your lives. Now, watershed occasions such as this are meant to be savoured in the company of others, and then later cherished as emotional landmarks along your life's journey. The spectacle, the pomp and the regalia of the graduation ceremony, rooted in long tradition, signifies the importance of what's happening for you, our graduates, for your families, and indeed for the college itself. We're delighted that for the first time in 3 years that we were able to resume full in-person graduation ceremonies this year, so that your families and friends can share in the celebratory atmosphere and proudly bask in your achievement. As other speakers have said, arriving at your academic destination today can't have been a solitary accomplishment. Perhaps you'd like to express your gratitude to those family members and friends who assisted and encouraged you along the way with a round of applause. As you're well aware, the COVID pandemic wreaked havoc with our social world and our personal lives for much of the past 2 years. Looking back to the early stages in 2020, with the seemingly endless lockdowns, the 2 kilometre limits, the 5 kilometre limits, deserted streets, shuttered businesses, restaurants and churches, restrictions on hospital visits and funeral attendance, closed borders, no live entertainment, social distancing, and not being able to hug or touch people. It's difficult not to be struck by how surreal this upheaval now seems. And the omnipresent anxiety and stress, and for so many people, the fear that either they or their loved ones would contract the disease. Today, the number of COVID-19 related deaths in Ireland stands at just under 8,000 people. For some people, the pandemic brought heartbreak. Others experienced acute isolation and loneliness. And for some, it gave rise to more serious mental health problems. And as we lurched from month to month, struggling to come to terms with the new topsy-turvy, Kafkaesque reality, there was always the infuriating uncertainty about when would it all end. And given the unpredictability of this particular coronavirus, it would be foolhardy to predict the future course of the disease with any certainty. However, the pandemic has now become an endemic, and for many reasons, it poses a far, far lower threat than at its peak. Unlike when a war ends, there's been no formal declaration, although it's precisely 8 months to the day that virtually all restrictions were removed in Ireland on the 28th of February last. By that stage, almost 2 years into the pandemic in Ireland, and punch-drunk from its relentless impact on our lives, we moved into the current phase. I think it was more with exhausted relief than with any outright celebration. But thankfully, we have moved on, and our daily life has, for the most part, renormalised. And it's wonderful, absolutely wonderful, to be here today to celebrate with you all and to look forward with positivity. Even at this remove, it's difficult to accurately document the far-reaching extent of the damaging effects brought on by the pandemic, let alone hint at some of the positive outcomes. The economic effects, although they were cushioned by state subventions, are still playing out. The immediate COVID impact on inflation through broken supply chains has now been overtaken by what you'll all recognise as a strong cost of living crisis, and that's due in large measure to the economic consequences of Russia's invasion of the Ukraine. Times such as this bring forth many false prophets, and many people have speculated, sometimes wildly and inaccurately, about how life after COVID will be permanently transformed. And indeed, there have been many changes around social engagement, work-life balance, flexible working patterns, and other life changes that have continued. But it's going to take time for the new order to take shape and for us to identify what are the forever changes as opposed to the transient changes. The psychological scars of what we've been through are yet to be fully documented. Both anecdotal and research evidence are clear that there has been an increase in mental health problems, and it's particularly amongst younger people such as yourselves, graduates, and children. The demand on counselling services in higher education rose very steadily during the COVID era. A COVID-19 survey carried out by the ESRI in December 22, which was only about 9 months into it, reported that 4 in 10 22-year-old men and over half, which is 55%, of 22-year-old women were classified as depressed. Some recent American research suggests that people's experiences during COVID may have contributed significantly to longer-term negative personality changes, particularly in younger people and especially in the later stages of the crisis. However, it's unwise to depend too much on American research, given the extent of polarisation within that country and the effects which polarisation and social conflict has on people's mental health. In May of this year, the World Bank, UNESCO and UNICEF described the COVID-19 pandemic as, and this is particularly significant for you as teachers, the worst education crisis on record. A crisis that's left all sectors of education, from early childhood education to higher education, reeling. Abundant research from countries throughout the world point to what has been termed a pandemic slide. This refers to the substantial achievement deficits in children's learning as a consequence of the enormous disruption to their education. According to research just published in the United States, there's been the largest decline in mathematics ever. Another report from 2 weeks ago states that despite the extraordinary level of the federal government support during the pandemic, US schools are, wait for it, 500 billion, I repeat, 500 billion short of what is needed to address unprecedented levels of learning loss. The author of the report, Matthew Steinberg, goes on to state that although the investment in relief funding was incredible in scale, it pales into comparison to the negative effect on the economy if a generation of children do not recover from what this pandemic has done to them academically. Some children did in fact thrive during the periods of COVID lockdown. However, a significant minority endured high levels of stress and experienced serious issues with mental well-being. For some children, the closure of schools or the confinement of schooling to online teaching starved them of vital supports which schools typically provide, but which often goes, unfortunately, unrecognised. On the positive side, the pandemic experience has underscored the crucial importance of teachers and early childhood educators, not only in the academic domain, but also more holistically in providing for their social and emotional well-being. The world of higher education continues to reinvent itself as we balance the potential and enhancements of online learning with our renewed appreciation and understanding of the importance of in-person learning. Bullheaded predictions that in-person learning was in terminal decline have proven to be seriously mistaken, because it ignores the reality that there is an experiential and relational dimension to going to college that can't be recreated online alone. Unfortunately, and this is going to become a problem for higher education, student engagement levels globally have not returned to their pre-pandemic level. This is a particular problem in Ireland, a problem that's exacerbated by the serious accommodation that's causing hardship for many of our students. And some of you actually might be the beneficiaries of this, because if you listen to a report on RTE Radio this morning, what it said was that there is a serious crisis in relation to supply of teachers throughout the country, but particularly in Dublin. And I think that has worked to your advantage in terms of the availability of jobs. Over the past decades, Irish schools have been spared the sort of political tampering that's been a marked feature of what's happened in some other countries. The consultative processes through which the curriculum is developed in Ireland and the relative lack of political interference has led us to underappreciate this, and particularly how it contrasts with what's taking place in other countries. You only have to look at the conflict in the United States around curriculum, the content of curriculum, and the way that all of that, what's taught in terms of history in America, and also in terms of racial issues, how that's taught in the United States and how that's played out in terms of conflict, to appreciate how we've managed to avoid that in this country. And speaking of politics, ostensibly, your education here at MIC has been apolitical. There's been no attempt, as you know, to steer you towards any political philosophy or any party political leanings. However, what we do try to do is to instill in you certain values: respect for the dignity of each person and the search for truth in all facets of life. The education system, and you as education graduates, you have a crucial role to play in inculcating the values and ideals that are necessary to sustain a stable, democratic society. In a post-truth world, and that's a world where the boundaries between truth and lies has become badly blurred, it's vital that pupils value truth over falsehood and deceit, and that they develop the critical abilities to distinguish reason from unreason and propaganda theories and conspiracy theories. In democratic societies, schools must be a bulwark against populism and provide a measure of inoculation against demagoguery and the sort of political extremism that's starting to rear its head in parts of Europe and in other parts of the world. Schools can do this by promoting civic values, developing critical thinking, and by enhancing scientific and media literacy. If you're education students, it's most likely that you heard about Finland along the way. And as you know, that country is one that is famed for its academic standards. But it also has some other very beneficial features that we could attend to. It's notable for the emphasis that it places on media education. In the Finnish education system, media literacy and media education form part of the national core curriculum at every level, from early childhood right up to up beyond the level of schooling. Finnish students are taught how to evaluate the truthfulness of information and how propaganda works. They learn about online behaviour and develop skills to counteract many of the threats that are posed by social media. In fact, Finland tops the 2022 Media Literacy Index of 41 European countries. I trust that the knowledge, skills and dispositions that you've acquired over your time here will serve you in good stead as professional educators in the years ahead. The pandemic has radically unsettled many of our taken for granted assumptions about how the world works and how schools ought to operate. It's unlocked new possibilities and it's established new priorities, making it an exciting and challenging time for embarking upon a career as a teacher. Graduates, my earnest wish for you is that the personal qualities and the characteristics that you've developed and formed will be key assets in enabling you to flourish both professionally and personally. And before concluding, I wish on your behalf to thank the faculty, the Mary Immaculate College staff members and the academic faculties and the professional support departments who've worked with you over these past years to help you arrive at this happy day. Their dedication and expertise have helped transform you into a skilled, competent, aware individual. Please join me in acknowledging their professionalism and commitment. I'd like particularly to thank those who work tirelessly behind the scenes, because I can assure you, as somebody who doesn't have to do much work in order for this to happen today, the amount of work, the late hours that people put in to making this happen and to making it run smoothly is really quite a lot. So I'd like also to thank them. In particular, our dear colleague Carrie Ryan is retiring shortly, having worked at Mary Immaculate College for 42 years. She's been at the heart of every conferring ceremony here for the past 35 years, and at the heart of this one too, I can assure you. I want to thank her for her absolute dedication, her savoir-faire, and her impeccable attention to detail, which has been the keystone of graduation ceremonies here in MIC since 1987. I'm just finished. I want to thank the University of Limerick, which has ratified your degrees and deemed your standard of achievement suitable for admission to the ranks of its graduates. I also want to pause to thank the President of the University, Dr. Kirsten May, for her presence with us throughout these graduations. I want to do a little more than that, in fact. If you realise now that she's handed out over 100 parchments over the last 3 graduation sessions, it demonstrates enormous stamina, and it was all done with irrepressible pleasantness, I think you will have seen. So could I have a round of applause for her? Now, I especially want to thank her for her continuing support for what I would describe as the thriving relationship between MIC and UL, and for her commitment to strengthening that. And it would be utterly wrong for me to ignore my colleague here, Professor Niamh Howran, for the success that she's demonstrated in calling out those names. And I appreciate, having done it for years, I know just how difficult it is to do. She's done a sterling job. For their contribution to today's ceremony, I want to thank in particular the mace bearer for the University of Limerick, John O'Neill. Stand up. And Mary Dermody, who's been with us for many years as our sign language interpreter. And now, as this graduation ceremony draws to a close, let me, on behalf of my colleagues in your alma mater, wish you all the best for the rest of your lives and your careers today and in the future. Go dugga dia got rach agus banach díobh arbor dros sail.
Thank you, President. Now, before we stand for the national anthem, just a few quick acknowledgements. As Eugene mentioned, loads of people contributed to making today such a special day, but I particularly like to acknowledge the team in Student Academic Admin, the President's Office, Strategic Communications and Marketing, Buildings and Estates, ICT, and the Mary I Students' Union. We were delighted to host you here today. We hope you had a great day. We hope you go on and have an even greater time later on. I'm sure there's loads of celebrations planned. Please remain in your place until the academic procession leaves the venue. And buíochas ó Críoh go léir. Can we please stand now for the national anthem? Congratulations, class of 2022, Cóg Arthacha Selig.